As you prepare to submit your field trip report and your final assignments, I wanted to highlight a few key ideas. Again, encouraging you to reference this whole idea of the socio-spatial dialectic. As you know by now, is the two-way process in which people modify urban spaces but are also conditioned by the spaces. And for me, the Tactical Urbanism pop-up on June 24th, even if all you do is follow it on social media, is an example of the socio-spatial, or should be, hopefully will be an example of the socio-spatial dialectic as it relates to placemaking. Certainly, throughout recent weeks, some of the content has encouraged you to think about the city and its change, the arrival city, migration within the city, and the process of urbanization that is reflected by changes that take place from the city. While I won't directly reference the text now, I just want to encourage you in everything that you're working on to give specific examples, page numbers from the text. Urbanization over the last 200 years, some have suggested, has strengthened or further reflects links between culture, society, and the city. And what does culture mean in the terms of the context of a place, and how does that vary over time? That may be a theme you want to review or consider in your final assignment where you're looking at the film. So by culture, we mean the values, the norms, material objects, and specifically as it relates to social geography, how is that reflected in the context of communities and how places change over time? Certainly, cities are more than just a composite of past and present culture, although those are evident and you can read the past, present, and sometimes even get a sense of where the future is going by looking at the urban morphology, which speaks to the physical form of the city, the building, the architecture, and design. An example, interesting example of this is Tel Aviv's street pattern was to reflect the design of a menorah, so of a sacred uh, icon, or I guess sacred element of their faith. The Jewish faith was actually a principle or an indicator on which the whole city was to be built. And there's many other really fascinating examples we could make reference to. China, Beijing is the idea of the sacred city and its orientation to the cosmos and to the north and south and feng shui. So just even the built form and street patterns can tell us something about a period of time. But I'm encouraging you to really reflect further on the built form and how people see themselves within the city, their identity, even how one chooses and where one chooses to live tells you something more about subcultures that exist or are influenced by the context of the city. And again, this really fascinating aspect is that we can read the city like a book, and it's constantly changing over space and time. And our identity in terms of place is reflected in terms with respect to technology, culture, ethnicity, and so on. So, this whole idea of placemaking and place promotion is a theme that's been a focus of Geography 464, but as well I've referenced for you in your course. So, in terms of understanding the city, if you go back to chapter 1, we can take a quantitative approach, and these are not mutually exclusive numbers. We can look at structure, we could look at culture in terms of the city, or we could look at post-structuralist approach, and that is where it's not just about class structure, but about numerous shifting and unstable dimensions of inequality within the city. This whole idea about city and culture and inequality is a theme of a presentation I uploaded from the London School of Economics on your course site, and as well, unfortunately, is reflected in this video or film that was created on the issue of homelessness in the city of Abbotsford. I've encouraged you to think about the city in terms of neighborhood research frameworks, and certainly in that regard, is encouraging you to think much beyond the built form, to think about cultures and groups and how cities have evolved and are created in the context of each place. So I just want to conclude by encouraging you to think about the different theories and ideas when you're writing and reflecting on your field trip report as well as on your final report. With respect to the field trip, you only need to do 5 to 7 pages if you're working on your own. And you should be talking about the built form and morphology of cities, but as well as issues that relate to social justice. And a really interesting issue in Vancouver right now is redevelopment of Chinatown and all the different issues. Your social geographic perspective should provide insight into land use conflicts now when you read about them in the news or hear about them just in your everyday interaction with the city. And then for those of you that are able to join the field trip, then June 24th, your report's not due to the next day. And honestly, if you're struggling getting your field trip report and in by the 19th, I'm willing to accept it up to the June 25th. I was just trying to help everyone move along with the course so that they only had the final paper due for the end of the month. Anyways, just quick updates, comments. If you have any questions, please do reach out to me. And note that social geographers are really interested in difference and inequality in the city, and social geography is the geography of human concerns in the city. And if these topics are of interest to you, the planning class in the fall is going to focus on innovative responses to the need for rental housing in the Fraser Valley. So I encourage you to consider taking that course. Or GDS 100, Global Development Studies, because there we'll be learning about advocacy and inequality. Thank you.